Hi everybody, welcome to Leon's Chainsaw Parts and Repair. Looking at another saw that Bryan sent me. This one's a super easy, and there ain't nothing easy about it. I know I've used that before. I probably ought to knock that off, but once corny, always corny, right? So I've gone through and corrected some of the stuff that was wrong, or started to. The handlebar, that was irreparable. Not gonna happen. The aluminum insert is actually missing in there, and this side had been upsized to 1/4 inch. So I just got done putting some inserts in there to take it back down to the appropriate size. I'm going to be using a later model handlebar on this that just uses 1032 screws. So that's the inserts that are in there. That was the original thread size too. But now, I just assumed that these screws on the fuel tank right here were going to be loose. 1, 2, 3. Only other thing that holds it in place is that guy right there. Now, I haven't tried pulling it out yet, but I'm going to try right now. And it is loose. Extraordinarily loose. Now, there's no thread material on it, so I'm going to hope that that means it did not jack those threads up. But I'm going to unplug the automatic oil pump pickup hose right here, and then we're going to see if we can get something done. I wanted to show you guys how much of a pain in the ass it is to actually. It's probably going to leak oil everywhere now if there's any left in it. I wanted to show you guys the pain in the neck that is these fuel tanks. So these bolts had Loctite on them to begin with, and that's why I'm surprised that they ever come loose. Usually they're tighter than tight. So I just assumed, well, heck, they're loose. I'll pull them out, clean them up. Those are not loose yet. The old tank's rattling around. So I'm not feeling good about that. I'm not feeling good about that at all. I'm afraid that that means it has worn the holes in the tank. And if that's the case, might be doing a different tank. But let's see how these come out. I'm going to use the rattle gun with the Loctite they put on there. Trying to use a hand screwdriver, you are going to strip it. Now, you can probably get away with using a socket or a ratchet with an adapter to Phillips down here so that you can press down as you're turning. The rattle gun's easier. So let's see what we get. Okay. Yep. Well, we'll get these other two out with any luck and we'll see, but the tank looks pretty worn. Jesus. Okay, I'm not running it slow like that because I like to hear that hammer noise. You can break these, and I have, and I can assure you that drilling them back out and rethreading them is not any fun. Not something I feel like doing today. Okay, so this will come off, I'm almost certain, without having to take everything else apart, which is an abnormality in home-like chainsaws. Almost all of them you've got to take. Yeah, there we go. So, It's set there. This tank has worn for a long time. See how much slop there is in there? I don't know. Suppose I could do some JB weld. Maybe I'll do that. And please, nobody put a comment on the video about how that could be welded and drilled. A, I don't have that equipment to weld a magnesium alloy, and B, it's a fuel tank, so I wouldn't even if I did. And C, I'm not taking it to a machine shop for that. This would have to be an awfully rare part, which it's not. You can find tanks for super EZs. Hell, I made, that's not as pretty, the one I have down there that's for sale. But if it comes down to it, if I can't make an effective repair and this tank has to be replaced, I can find one at a reasonable price for Bryan. But why did that happen? That's a real great question. I mean, the screws appeared to be tight in there, but I don't think they got torqued down at some point. And the Loctite hardened and held them in place. They didn't back out, but they weren't tight enough, so this tank just rattled back and forth, and it wore those slots in it. And that, of course, most people forget to put a little Loctite on this one that comes through the bar pad, so that's not going to hold it in place much either. But anyway, I wanted you guys to see that. That's what it's going to take to get a fuel tank off of a Super EZ, and that's one of the problems you may encounter when you're working on one. Okay, so I've cleaned everything up, dried it out, cleaned it with acetone, and then to prep the tank itself, I filed lightly with a chain file, 5/32 the insides of those screw holes. Make sure there wasn't any remaining grease and crap, and also it should provide a rough enough edge that it'll grip a little better. Because looking at this, I decided I was going to at least give the JB Weld trick a try. Don't need much. This is probably more than I need, but that's okay. Alright. I'm going to put a dab of Loctite down in the threads. See here, they're under this. I don't want that mixing with the JB, because I don't know how they'd react together, and I don't want to find out. Because if I find out, it'll be because it failed, and I'm not okay with that. Failure is not an option, damn it. Cheesy, but hey, whatever. Okay, so I've got all the screws cleaned up as well. Put that acetone out of the way. Slip this tank back in place. That'll help hold it for a second. You know, it's just an oil hose, it's pretty short. Ouch. Damn it. There we go. Okay. So, I think I'm going to also get this bar pad side started. What I don't want to do is torque something down and find out I can't get another one started and have that JB set up too quick. And if you're wondering if I am letting it sit too long, I hope not. I don't think so. Usually you got about a 10-minute working life with the JB Quick here. Alright. So that's tight, that's loose enough. Yeah. Alright. So this isn't technical. The worst point of wear was this top hole. So that's where I'm going with it. top hole I pretty much put a lot into. The middle one here and the bottom one that aren't worn as bad. Or do I have that reversed? They all have good wear. But I'm going to put it around the outside edge as much as possible. Where it is, I can see the problem. And it is bad enough that I can see it. Okay. Now we're going to count on the forces of nature to push it back out where it needs to be and put it around these threads. Because there's nowhere else for it to go. Alternate method of installing would have been to put the JB around the head of the bolt. That's as far as I'm going until I get these others installed. And I don't think there's any one way that's right or wrong. And the reality is you don't want to be in this situation to begin with. But one of the things that we're going to try and hopefully see is that the tank will now tighten up. And if that's the case, that would confirm my thought that when it was installed originally, the damn thing just never got torqued. Well, maybe not originally, but whenever the hell it was last apart to cause this problem. Alright, I can see it around the screw heads there. Use the rattle gun again. I don't want to go too much. That one went good. That's as far as that one's going. Okay. And now, remember, this side, that screw is still loose. Tank won't move. We're going to be fine. So, now that side's tight. I'll let that stuff finish setting up while I make the remainder of the repairs. You can see that exactly what I was hoping for. It squirted out right here. Got a little there. You can get a little on the condenser. But in any case, that should take up the slop in there, and now at least the flat head part of the screw is pushing the crank, or the fuel tank into the crankcase there. So I think we got lucky and this will work. Okay. Well, Brian, that makes me feel a hell of a lot better, quite frankly, just to hear it run. And I didn't have to get into the carb, which makes me feel great, honestly. So, I wanted to hear it run. That muffler cap's a little loose. Wanted to hear it run, but I also wanted to get the engine just a little warm to help cure all that Loctite and JB that's in there. Got this newer style handle in place with correct hardware, so it's good and solid. It's got just a little bit of give right there on the cushion mount like it's supposed to. So still need to throw an air filter on it. Still need to spin the clutch off and get that old sprocket drum out of there, tighten down the muffler. But this one is close to ready to go, and I wasn't sure that was going to be the case once we found that fuel tank mess.